Welcome back to another episode of the Girls Talk Money podcast. We've been talking a lot on the podcast recently about how we've become much more confident versions of ourselves this year and feel like we've been going through a glow up recently. I know I personally look back at photos and videos of myself from last year and then even back to college, and I have definitely had a glow up. I feel better. I feel more confident in the way that I look. And we wanted to film this episode today all about affordable ways to glow up and become the happiest, hottest, most confident version of yourself this summer. When we named this episode title, my mind immediately thought of two things. First, feeling good from within, and then also things that you could do for your external appearance to make yourself feel more confident. So those two things are what we're going to be talking about in today's episode.
Okay, when you were talking about last year, this is not even on my list, but I feel like we have to mention it because it's so relevant to both of us. We both say, like, we look back at pictures of the two of us last year at like events or when we did like the podcast cover. I feel like one of the fastest ways to glow up is to go back to your natural hair color because we talk about this all the time. We look at photos of ourselves. Erin and I both used to have like blonde hair, like bright, light blonde hair. I am a natural brunette. You're a full brunette?
I'm a natural brunette too.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because in the moment we both were like, we loved it, you know? But then we both went back to our natural, and now we look back at those photos and I'm always like, oh my gosh. I was literally looking at a video. I think I was like scrolling back on my feed yesterday or something. I don't know, but one of your videos came up. I think it was maybe in one of our conversations over text or something. I don't remember where I was looking, but I was looking for something and your video came up, and I was searching on TikTok for something. I was looking for something for a piece I was writing for a client, and I was searching on TikTok, and whatever search term I put in, one of your videos came up from like 2 years ago, and you had like the bleach blonde hair, and I was like, it just made me think about this episode and being like, we both went back to our natural, and I feel like that was such a game changer, and just like we look entirely different than we did a year ago. Like
entirely different. And I have been bleaching my hair since the 5th grade, and I will honestly blame this on my mom because my natural hair color is brown, but my mom used to call it dishwater blonde because it was like a light brown that kind of resembled like dirty dishwater. I literally have been getting highlights since the 5th grade because I didn't want to have dishwater blonde hair.
Oh my God.
And like, honestly, I like the blonde for so long, but I think that natural, like in terms of your hair color, in terms of the amount of makeup you wear, I feel like that's just so in right now. I know, like, in addition to my bleach blonde hair, I used to wear so much eye makeup. My eyebrows were like penciled in so dark. I would wear like the darkest lipstick, and I feel like that's just not in anymore either. So like going back to your natural and then doing some like glowy light natural makeup, I just feel like it's so in.
Yeah, I know. I do feel like the blonde was in at the time. Like it really was, but it had its season. I don't think I'll ever go back to being blonde. I feel like the brown is so much better, which one of the things on my list, like kind of glow up tips, which I've talked about this so much, but getting a color analysis done changed my life. And one of the aspects of color analysis they do is they show you what hair colors would be best on you. And I had dyed my hair last October, which was right when we went to FinCon. So pictures from that time, you can see I dyed my hair dark brown, and it was very dark. And I learned in color analysis that more of like a medium warm brown looks good, which is hilarious because my natural color is a warm medium brown, which is pretty much what I have now. I dyed my hair back to pretty much just to match my natural so that when it grows out, it looks like all consistent. But also when you get a color analysis done, they tell you whether silver or gold looks better on you. Because if you have cool undertones, silver looks good on you. And if you have warm undertones, gold looks good on you. And I could never figure out my undertones before, but I found out that I have warm undertones, and just changing my hair color and my jewelry, I feel like made the biggest difference. Like I get messages all the time from people in comments being like, oh my gosh, you're glowing, you're glowing. And literally I haven't changed anything to do with like my makeup routine. It's just the fact that, I mean, I've made small changes, but not enough that you would really notice anything. But I've only changed like the colors I wear with color analysis, my jewelry, and my hair. And it just like it makes your natural features pop more, like my lip color, my eye color, things like that. It also makes your skin appear less textured and less red, which I feel like just like gives you like the glow. So I don't know. That was like the best thing I ever did. And I will say my color analysis, I went to Anna Harris in Fall River, Massachusetts. We got a comment in Spotify asking where I got it done. So there's that. But it was $350 for the entire color analysis, which is obviously not like balling on a budget by any means, but you can use Chat GPT and like it's a whole process. I have a video of it on my TikTok that explains how to do it. It isn't always 100% accurate, but it can help you find your undertone, which can then help with the jewelry and hair side of that.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about like going too dark brown as well and that not complimenting you too, because I feel like people always ask me what I ask for when I go to the hairdresser and get my hair done. And I always just tell my hairdresser to use her best judgment. And obviously, you need to find a hairdresser that you can trust. But I just feel like hairdressers are a lot better at picking out the undertones and like the tone of your hair that's going to look best on you. Because I remember one time I went to a hairdresser that was in my hometown, and like she does my mom's hair. Like she does a really good job of my mom's hair, but she just gave me the book of all of like the little like color swatches,
Yeah, little
and she
swatches.
told me to pick my, at the time I was getting like low lights in my hair, I think, and she told me to pick the low lights that I wanted to. And the one that I picked, I ended up with red hair. Like sophomore
Oh
year
my
of college,
God.
I ended up, my hair had like a strawberry tone to it. Like I literally
Okay.
looked like I had red hair, and it was so bad. That is the ugliest I've ever felt in my entire life. My like tone just did not sit well with it at all. So now I always ask my hairdresser, just like use your best judgment, whatever tone you think is going to look the best on me and for my skin tone is the way to go. But I will also say, on the topic of kind of like natural hair color as well, a couple of things. First, I got my eyebrows microbladed. I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I got my eyebrows microbladed about 2 years ago. And after that, that's when I started to hate the blonde, because she obviously microbladed them. And if anyone's not familiar, microblading is essentially getting a tattoo on your face of the shape of your eyebrow. And she obviously did that in the shade of my eyebrow, which is my natural hair color, which is relatively dark brown. And after I did that, the mismatch between my eyebrows and my hair was so bad that that's literally all I could stare at, was the fact that my hair was so obviously not my natural hair color. It like wasn't even funny. But the other part of that is that when you go back to your natural hair color and you stop bleaching it, obviously your hair is a lot healthier. So I just went to my hairdresser in June, like right before I moved down to Nashville, and I haven't been to the hairdresser in 6 months at that point. The last time I went was in January, and she was like, Erin, your hair is so thick and healthy. It's insane. Like I told her to obviously do a trim because I haven't been there in 6 months. And she was like, how much do you want me to cut off? And I was like, well, it's probably a little bit dead. Like I haven't been here in 6 months. She was like, there's really nothing dead here. You don't have split ends. Like your hair is so healthy. And I feel like that obviously leads to you looking more like healthy and vibrant as well when your hair is like not all dead.
Yeah, 100%. On this topic too, I will say like I need to be better about this, but I will like go get my hair done and then I'll just wait like, yeah, like 6 months and go back in and be like, hey girl, I hate my hair. Please help me. And we just do like a gloss at this point, which just kind of makes maybe it's like a toner and a gloss. So it just kind of makes my hair look a bit shinier and gives it some more depth, because I find my natural color, especially in the summer, can look a little bit dull when parts of it start to get lighter. Because my natural hair has natural blonde highlights and red highlights kind of mixed into it. And so sometimes when it gets too light, for whatever reason, it gets this little like gray tone. But keeping up with getting trims, especially if you have like bang pieces like I do in the front, like keeping up with it makes such a difference. If you go so long in between, I feel like you end up with like the split ends and like things like that, especially if it's not your natural. But I will say too that ever since I went back to my natural, my hair lasts a lot longer in between. Like I don't need to go back so often because I'm not, my hair is not dry and like breaking and falling out because it's bleached so much.
Yeah, you are supposed to get a trim, I think like at minimum once a quarter. And I have to be better about that as well because I agree. It also helps your hair grow when you're regularly getting trimmed. So, like, not skipping out on the trim is a good tip. But since we are on the topic of hair, like, I do have some other things here on our like glow up tips for hair specifically. And this is something that I was talking to my hairdresser about the last time I was there as well, was dry shampoo. I literally never use anymore, and it has made my hair so much healthier. I feel like for so long people were saying that you shouldn't wash your hair like more than like once or twice a week, right? To make your hair healthy. But then you're drowning your hair in dry shampoo, and that in turn is making your hair so much less healthy. My hairdresser was saying that it like clogs your pores in your scalp, which totally makes sense. So when it clogs your pores in your scalp, it's not letting your hair grow. So I ditched using the dry shampoo. I do have to say, like, working from home, my hair's a little bit oily right now. I haven't washed it in 3 days, but I don't have any dry shampoo in it, and half of that is because I do work from home. So even if it's a little bit oily, it's not the biggest deal in the world. But my hairdresser was like, I don't use dry shampoo anymore. I just wash my hair more frequently because it's healthier for me to wash my hair when it needs washed than it is to drown my scalp in dry shampoo.
I have never been a dry shampoo girly. I could never find a good one. And I always felt like it made my hair feel disgusting. Like I don't know, I could never do it. But on the topic of like washing your hair more often, I saw a video. There's this girl, her name's like Abby Young, I think is how you say her name. I'm thinking of like her username in my head. But I'm pretty sure it's Abby Young. She has like the most beautiful long blonde hair. It is so healthy. It's gorgeous. She went to like a trichology school, which is like a hair scientist. So she makes all these hair videos. I'll like link her in the show notes, but she like broke down the science of different shampoos basically and said that a bunch of drugstore shampoos like Pantene and Dove and like things like that are not really, they're not bad. And like she described how like the silicones in them are not bad either. And she also talked about washing your hair like more often. And it's funny because I just saw a video the other day of someone else saying that Emily Kaiser, I guess, another like content creator, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not. This is what someone's video said, that she gave the advice of washing your hair every day, and this person followed that advice, and now their hair is healthier. And I feel like just thinking about I feel like the whole landscape of hair is changing, where it used to be a wash your hair as little as possible, only use really, really high quality shampoo. And now we're learning that you don't need to, like, it's okay to wash your hair more often, and you don't need to use like super expensive shampoo. I've started washing my hair a lot more recently. I would just let it go in between, and when it starts to get a little, I just put it up in like a bun or something that day and wash it that night. But I've like washed my hair every day the past few days just because it's so hot out in the summer. And I'm like, no amount of dry shampoo is going to like just make the head sweat just like poof. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna go for a walk after work and it's 92 degrees out, I'm gonna sweat. And I just feel like yucky, and my hair looks so much better when it's fresh, and it makes me feel more confident when my hair is just like fresh and styled and not greasy.
Yeah, I don't wash my hair every day. I probably wash it every like 3 to 4 days for the sheer reason of I hate how long it takes to like wait for it to dry and then style
Hmm.
it and like blow dry it and all of the things. And I don't have that like thick or full hair, so it's not like it takes a crazy amount of time. But I feel like I don't wash it more frequently because of that. But I totally agree that my hair looks better when it's fresh. And when it's not fresh, I don't have a ton of volume in it. And that's why I would use the dry shampoo, because the dry shampoo gives you volume, but in turn I could literally just wash my hair. But I will say one thing that makes a huge difference on the way that my hair looks and feels is using an oil. So before I would always like use all the dry shampoo and try to like get all of the oil out. And now I feel like maturing is realizing that your hair needs more hydration, not less hydration. And I think this is a good segue to talk even like broader than just hair as well in terms of like the glow up tips, because I was actually having this conversation with my friend the other day, and she was saying that she almost never moisturizes her skin because she has really oily skin. And I was like, I used to think this way too. But if you're not moisturizing your skin, then your skin is going to produce more oil because it's drier. So in turn, you need to moisturize and bring that moisture back into your skin, back into your hair, and then your skin and your hair won't be producing that oil and you won't feel as oily. So I've been like such a big moisturizer girl over the past couple of years. But yeah, in terms of like moisturizing my skin, all of like I don't use foundation anymore. I use a tinted moisturizer, so I'm just putting a ton of product on my face that makes me feel more hydrated and in turn more glowy.
This goes for like body moisturizing as well. Not so much in the oily, because I don't know if like your skin can be oily that's like not in your face. I don't really know. I have dry skin like across the board, so I don't really know. But I have like, I mean, this is I guess another like glow up thing is we both like fake tan. And I realized, I don't know why it took me so long. I used to never like exfoliate my skin, like my body. And I would just like slap my fake tanner on and I was like, whatever. And it looked fine. But recently I started doing more of like an everything shower routine where I exfoliate like 1 day a week. And then every day after I get out of the shower at night, I put lotion on. And when I just like feel like put together, and I was thinking about this earlier this year because of like the whole 1 year experiment thing that I'm doing, I was like, how do I want to feel? And like when I think about like the richest version of me, and I don't mean rich in terms of like wealth, but like just the version of me who's like on my game, like Grace has her shit together. What is she doing? I'm like, she's glowing. She's like, she's got it all together. I'm like, that version of Grace would put some freaking moisturizer on when she gets out the shower. You know what I mean? Like, she would not be having like dry elbows. Like, she wouldn't, and she would like exfoliate. And I swear, my skin like looks shiny. Like my shoulders like look shiny when I like exfoliate and moisturize every day. So I'll sometimes be like brushing my teeth in the mirror and I'm like, ooh, because I'm just like, I feel like my chest and shoulders just like glow, but I don't have anything on my skin. Obviously I have fake tan, but like it really does make a difference. And I feel like it just gives that extra like confidence boost when you actually take the time to put some lotion on when you get out the shower.
I totally agree with that. When I do my everything shower, I exfoliate. I have a little like sugar scrub. The one that I have is from the brand Way. I love all of their products. It is a little bit more of an expensive one, so you could totally use like the Tree Hut ones are my like
That's what I
absolute
use.
favorite.
Yeah.
So I'll exfoliate, and then I also have it's from the brand Tree Hut as well. It's a shave oil, which if you're still using shaving cream, you should totally switch to a shave oil because it makes my skin feel so amazing. So I always shave with a shave oil. And then I used to be really bad about moisturizing as well. It just like was not a part of my routine. But back on the topic of self tanning, which I love a self tan, I have an everyday self tanning lotion. So instead of like putting self tanner on and you like getting dark really immediately, there are lotions that are a little bit more gradual. So I'll put it on every single day and like it smells really good. It smells like regular lotions. You're not going to smell like self tanner. The color doesn't transfer. So if you're worried about like staining your sheets at night or anything like that. And again, it just forces you to remember to moisturize. So you're making your skin a little bit more hydrated too. But I agree. You feel so much better when your skin is moisturized.
This is probably intuitive to a lot of people, but it wasn't for me. When I lived at my parents' house, I wanted to get in the habit of doing some of those things like exfoliating in the shower and like putting on lotion afterwards and like, just that type of stuff. But it was because we had like a big shared bathroom there, and it was a very small bathroom. We only had one shower, very small. So it was just, there wasn't a lot of extra space. I would always forget to like put lotion on after, but now that I have my own like place, I have my lotion literally right outside of my shower so that when I step out and I'm in my towel, I remember to do it. And that's like, if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits, that's like one thing he says is like make it like so obvious and almost hard to avoid doing whatever that habit is, because I know that a lot of these like beauty tips and glow up things, it is like adding something else to your routine or to your schedule. But if you genuinely like how it makes you feel, it becomes easier to implement too. But also when it comes to fake tanning, I recently posted a like fake tan routine of like how I do it, because I feel like there is a bit of a science to fake tan. And I will say, Erin put me on to Tanologist. Like I let Erin do like, she's like the guinea pig. Like she'll test the fake tan and then I just be like, I'm like, which one is it? Like I'll feel like, which one did you use? You look tan in this video. And then I just go buy whatever Erin uses. But I will say, I'm like pretty pale naturally, and I found that the Tanologist Extra Dark 1 Hour Express, because that fake tanologist, I love it, but it does feel sticky on me and it never dries down, which I know is weird because you said it dries down on you. So I don't know what my situation, like my issue is here, but I do the 1 hour express one so I can stay in it for as little as possible because I hate the sticky feeling. But I'll put that on, and then about 40 minutes in, I don't put it on my hands or my face, and then about 40 minutes in, I go back in and I put it on my hands and face and rinse off at the 1 hour mark. And that makes for like the best, most natural looking tan because you're washing your hands so much and you're washing your face and exfoliating your face so much. The skin is so like fresh that it just like grabs onto the tan. And if you put the fake tan on your face or your hands for a full hour, you will look like an Oompa Loompa just had your hand in a bag of Takis or Cheeto. Like it's not going to be cute. And I know that you recommended like it's like a gradual tanner drops that you put on your face that Tanologist has. They broke me out so bad. I was so bummed. So that's why I tried to figure out how to time it right to go back to putting it on my face. But honestly, yeah, having a fake tan is like, if I'm having like a bad day, like I'm like, oh, like, wow, I'm just like really sad today. I'll just be like, when did you tan last? Because sometimes it's really, or if I'm just like having a bad like body image day or just a bad like confidence day, I will literally look at myself and I'm just like, oh yeah, girl. I'm like, you look pale as hell. You haven't fake tan. Go put your tanner on. And then literally the next day, I'm like feeling untouchable.
I am the same way. And maybe this is a phase too. Maybe I'm gonna look back 10 years from now and be like, Erin, why were you like literally orange your entire 20s because you just like overused fake tanner? But I feel so much more confident when I self tan and when I also whiten my teeth. I do have like a pretty good routine of keeping my teeth white. And I feel like those two things alone just keep me feeling so confident. Like those are my two like bare minimum. I'm going to feel better about myself if I'm relatively tan and I have white teeth. But you mentioned about like putting things out so that you remember to do them. And this was something that I needed to do for my skincare, especially. And I do not like to keep things on my counter. I feel like I easily get like super cluttered. So I try to put away as many things as possible. But my entire skincare set is sitting out on my bathroom counter because I will not remember to do it if not. And a big part of that has been SPF. And wearing SPF every day has been like such a game changer for me too. I feel like just within the last year did people realize that you're supposed to be wearing SPF every single day. Like even if it's not the summer, even if you're not going to be like quote unquote in the sun, even if it's cloudy outside, you're still supposed to be wearing sunscreen every single day. And I swear it's changed the way that like my skin feels so much smoother after doing this for about a year. I just like feel very protected. And like I will put the tanning drops into my SPF so I'm kind of like stacking those two things on top of each other because the tanning drops for me don't break me out. So I'll do that. But on the topic of SPF, because I posted a TikTok video about this and a ton of people were saying that they related, a lot of face sunscreens burn my eyes. I've been having this problem for years where almost every single face sunscreen that I've tried has like burned my eyes. I'll put it on and then a couple hours later I literally can't even see because it
Oh
burns
my
so
God,
bad.
that's so
And a bunch of
weird.
people told me on TikTok to try Korean sunscreen. So I tried that. I bought Korean sunscreen and then I also bought a Korean skincare set and I've been using them for a couple of weeks and I'm so obsessed with them. It's like not even funny. Like the sunscreen and also the entire skincare set, I feel like my skin has genuinely never looked better. The sunscreen doesn't burn my eyes. So can't recommend Korean skincare enough. I feel like half of the reason why I've been loving it is because, and I saw this on TikTok too, um, double cleansing in terms of your makeup routine, or not your makeup routine, but your skincare routine has been like such a game changer for me. So in this skincare set that I bought, it has a cleansing oil. So at the end of the day, I will like put the cleansing oil onto my face to get all of my makeup off. And then it also has a like foaming cleanser. So after you get all of your makeup off, you go back in with the foaming cleanser and it gets like literally it's like a deep pour. Like you just feel so clean when you're done with it. So I think that's like half the battle too, is making sure that all of my makeup is getting off through double cleansing. But my skin has been feeling literally so incredible lately.
I always forget that the whole double cleansing thing is not like I feel like that kind of became a thing on social media like a year or two ago. It wasn't always a thing to double cleanse. Like I remember, oh my God, the days of me like wiping my makeup off my face with a makeup wipe. And I have sensitive, dry, acne prone skin. So like why I was doing any of that, I don't
That
know.
like hurts me
But
just to think
oh
about.
yeah, I'm thinking about when I would like rub it like all over my eyes and the oh my God, the eyelashes I would lose and I would still be like, yeah, I'll do that again tomorrow. Like why? I don't know. But yeah, double cleansing, it's something I honestly forget that like isn't like not everyone does it, but I use the elf like I don't know what it is. It's like a blue container. It's a cleanser. It's like a cleansing balm to take my makeup off in the shower. And then because I shower every night at night, which is a side note because I hate going to bed with outside germs on me. I can't do it. And then I use the La Roche-Posay cleanser on my face, and it's so good. That cleanser has also lasted me forever. It's a little bit higher priced in terms of like a drugstore cleanser, but it is my favorite. I will say too on the topic of skin. So I have been on Accutane twice, which if you're not familiar is a very intense acne medication. It's like I think the first time I was on it for like 9 months and the second time was like 6 or 7 months. It's very, very intense. You get like a dictionary of information that you have to agree to. You got to do monthly blood tests, monthly pregnancy tests. Like it's just yeah, Google it if you're curious because it's insane. But I did it twice because I'm allergic to doxycycline, which is an acne medication, and a lot of acne medications and topicals, I guess, are in the same family as doxycycline. So my dermatologist was like, "Yeah, girl, there's nothing else like we can really give you. Like Accutane's going to be your best bet." And I'm so glad I did it because it did truly get rid of like all of my acne, but I did have to do it twice. But after coming off of Accutane, the way I found out I was allergic to doxycycline was I had an allergic reaction to it in high school. My entire face broke out, literally every single inch. And the dermatologist, my mom called. Yeah, this is a side story, but my mom called the dermatologist to be like, hey, like she's, having this like reaction, like her face is completely broken out, every inch of it. She looks so puffy. It was so painful when I'd put makeup on, I would cry because like the feeling of the brush touching my skin was so painful. And the dermatologist, they just like were not listening to my mom and they were assuming that we were calling about Accutane, which gets worse before it gets better. Doxycycline does not. And they were like, yeah, just have her keep taking it, whatever. So I took the medication every single day for 3 months and it basically caused such intense and extreme acne scarring that was coming from so deep within my skin that was when I was 14 or 15 and I still have acne scarring from it. So, yeah, I've done expensive laser treatments. I've done all the things, but to try to like keep my skin looking good, I probably will do like a microneedling or another round of laser treatments or something like that just because it's kind of like a weird, and some people might relate to this, people who have acne scarring, like the sun, even when you're wearing sunscreen, the sun shining on your acne scars can make them worse, turn into little dark spots. So it almost makes sense to like pay the money to get rid of the acne scarring because as they get worse, then they get harder to remove. So it's kind of one of those like, it's like, well, what do you do here? They're going to get worse if you don't get them removed, but then it's expensive to get them removed. But anyways, to kind of like help with some of the acne scarring, my dermatologist that I just had gave me tretinoin, and tretinoin is a game changer. I was using it every day super consistently, and then I fell off a couple months ago because it was like really when the seasons change, my skin gets like really dry and like freaks out. So I took a pause, and I've just kind of gotten back on like using it every day. It's a retinol for people who don't know, and basically exfoliates your skin. And I don't understand the science of it, but it exfoliates your skin a little bit and basically just makes your skin look so much glowier, so much healthier. I'm going through, they call it the tretinoin uglies, where when you first start using it again, you kind of like break out a little bit where your skin gets a little bit dry and it doesn't look too hot, but it really does make a difference. But you have to wear sunscreen with it. And I will say too, I agree 100%. Wearing sunscreen has like changed the texture of my skin, which I didn't think would be a thing. But I noticed that when I wear sunscreen consistently, my skin is smoother. And also like the redness and acne scarring in my skin, I feel like looks less noticeable. I always forget the name of it, but oh my gosh, it's the Block Star. Oh my gosh, what is it called? I think it's something, the certain brand, but then it's the brand, it's called Blockstar. I always forget the name of the actual brand, but it has a little bit of a tint to it. So if you do fake tan, and your fake tan's obviously going to come off your face if you're using tretinoin, it does help like kind of even out your skin tone to match your body, which I love.
I love that. And you mentioned about the tretinoin from your dermatologist, and I will say, like, because I've tried some like retinols, like from just like regular makeup and like skincare brands and stuff, and apparently a lot of those products, like, they'll be super expensive, but since they're just like over the counter, like you can just walk into a store and buy them, they're not going to be like, what's the word? They're not like strong enough to
Yeah.
actually penetrate through your skin. So if you are like, oh, I want to try a retinol, like just go straight to the dermatologist, and maybe your insurance will even like cover it, instead of buying like a $100 retinol from Sephora and it literally not doing anything.
Yeah, there is a website too. I'll try to link it in the show notes. I'll try to find it. But if you Google like tretinoin prescription or something, it will usually be one of the first few links that comes up. It's like a sponsored link. I know, for example, my insurance, if I go to a dermatologist, it costs quite a bit out of pocket. And then you also have to pay for the prescription. But there's this website where you can basically like connect with a dermatologist to get tretinoin. And I think other skincare products too, but I think people say it's a little bit more affordable. And if you want to do something like tretinoin and your insurance doesn't cover it, or maybe it doesn't cover a lot of it, you can use a site like GoodRx. And I love GoodRx. When I used to be on a ton of medications in the past because of my like health stuff, I used to use GoodRx all the time, and it would save so much. I remember I had a $200 when I was on Accutane. My insurance was not covering it the first month for whatever reason, and it was going to be like 200 and something dollars for 1 month of the prescription, and I used GoodRx and got it for 80. And even then the pharmacist was like, do you know this is going to cost you $80? And I was like, yes, I do, but like it was obviously a lot of savings from 200 something. So yeah, I'll try to find that site and link it in the show notes, but you can also just like Google it and it will usually come right up.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should switch gears here a little bit, because I feel like the other half of this conversation, in terms of like glowing up and being your most confident self, is feeling good from within. And I know we talked a lot about, like, for the first 30 minutes of this episode, on things that we like do physically for our external appearance, and that's obviously really important. But I don't know, for me personally, or like just the way that I like to think about glowing up, it does definitely start from within, because your body's a vessel. And like, if I don't feel good from within, even if I self tan and whiten my teeth and have a cute outfit on, I'm not going to feel my best. So I have some things on my list, like things that I do specifically to make sure that I'm feeling good from within in terms of our glow up tips. But the first one that I have on this list is eating whole foods instead of just snacking on processed things all day. The difference in how I feel when I'm eating mainly whole foods versus processed foods is like literally insane. And processed foods doesn't even need to just be like super unhealthy things. Like, when you think of processed foods, you think of cookies and chips, but processed things can also be things that are labeled as healthy as well. Like, there are a lot, 90% of the things in the grocery store I feel like are processed. Even if you're looking at like a carbohydrate, bread is processed, but oats aren't processed, or you know what I mean? Things like that. So I definitely find that I feel better and feel more confident when I'm eating mainly whole foods and not just like snacking randomly throughout the day on a bunch of processed things.
100% on this topic too of like the food and like what you consume. I put on my list like limiting alcohol consumption. This is something I feel like I've gone so not like back and forth on, but if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, I did my own kind of version of 75 soft, which is like similar to 75 hard. It's like a 75-day health challenge, but I customized it to be like a bit more challenging because some aspects of 75 soft were not challenging to me because they were what I was already doing. And one of the things I did in the challenge was no alcohol at all. And I went like 60 days or something without alcohol. And then I was on vacation. So I had a couple drinks at dinner, but I felt amazing during those 60 days. Like, I felt incredible. I noticed such a difference. Like, I slept better. I felt better. I was not as bloated. Like, and it might sound vain, but to be like, oh, I wasn't like bloated, but I I feel like I have a very sensitive body because if I have one drink, one, I went to dinner last Friday. I had two drinks, two. And they were like spread out over the course of 4 hours with water mixed in. The next day, I was so like my jawline left the building. I was just like, oh my gosh. And it might sound vain. Some people probably don't care about their jawline, but I do. You know what I mean? I want to feel good. I want to feel, yeah, just I don't know. It messes with my sleep. I notice on my Aura Ring too. Every time I drink that night, I don't sleep as well. My Aura Ring will tell me that my heart rate was like just high the whole time, like the whole night. And that means you don't sleep as well. It means you don't recover as well. I just like I have gone back and forth about whether or not I want to just be sober. And it's tough because I like the social aspect of drinking and it's fun to just like get something that tastes good and like get a cute drink with a cute garnish on it and stuff. And mocktails, it's like, why am I going to spend $12 on a drink that's just like juice? You know, it's one of those things. But genuinely, every time I drink, I'm like, I don't want to do that again. Like, I never want to drink again. And then a couple months will go by and I'll have another drink and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? You know? But I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, it doesn't make me feel good. So why do it? So I really, like, I think that was my first drink since my vacation at the beginning of June. But even then, I'm like, I have no interest. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like people who
Nope.
are like sober curious or who maybe like went sober would understand like sober from a perspective of like, I don't need to be sober. Like I'm not in active addiction or anything like that, but I've never had an addiction to it, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
I want to go sober, not out of a necessity, but just like a want. I feel like people will understand that like back and forth that I feel, but it just makes me feel
Yeah.
so much better when I don't. Like, oh my God, I just think about those 60 days of my life and I felt so good. I slept so well. I was like high on life all the time because I was just like rested and not bloated.
Yep. The
Oh my
topic of
God.
alcohol, oh my gosh, I like wrestle with this so much. And I definitely drink more than you do. Like when you said like you have a couple drinks like a month, I would say I probably have like a couple drinks a week. I don't know. When I was in Pittsburgh, I definitely went like a whole month without drinking because I like wasn't really doing much on the weekends. But I feel like at this point in my life, like if I go to dinner, I get a drink with it. And for example, last weekend my friend came in from out of town and I had a couple drinks Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. Thursday night I had 1.5 drinks. I like couldn't even finish the second one because I like didn't want it. Friday night we went like out. So we went to two different places and the second one was an actual bar where people were like getting drunk and like taking shots. And I didn't finish my first drink. I had 1.5 drinks and one shot. Okay. I woke up Saturday feeling literally terrible. And those 1.5 drinks and one shot, that was over the course of like 6 hours. Like I was not drinking these quickly. I was literally sipping on the one drink and finally finished it. And then the shot that I took was a lemon drop shot. So like a mixed shot, like nothing crazy. Woke up Saturday feeling absolutely terrible.
Yes.
But we
It's
went
so
to the pool.
bad.
But we went to the pool and it was like a fun kind of like pool party vibe. So I had two drinks by the pool. And Saturday night, we went to dinner and I was like, I cannot get a drink. Sunday, I woke up, I felt so terrible. And I swear it's Tuesday now that we're recording this. And I still feel so terrible.
Mhm.
I felt so puffy. I felt so run down, so tired. And I swear it's from nothing else other than the alcohol. And I just like wrestle back and forth with it because I'm like, I'm spending all of this money on alcohol. I feel so terrible. I swear, like, I never used to be like this. I've always been like, okay, I get like bad hangovers if I drink too much, but I could relatively handle it. And I swear, when I turned 25, I can no longer handle it
Yes.
anymore. Like, I swear
Yes.
something flipped in my brain when I turned 25 and I can no longer drink anymore. And I'm just like, what am I getting out of this? What am I doing it for? And yeah, I've been wrestling back and forth with the two. I don't think I'll cut
Yeah.
it out of my life, but it's really hard not to when it makes you feel so bad.
It's like one of those things. I made a video about this the other day because when I woke up the day after I went out to dinner and had two drinks, I was so stuffy. My nose looked like it had doubled in size because I was so puffy. I'm not even joking. It looked like, you know, when people say like pregnancy nose, like when you get pregnant and your nose changes, it looked like I had pregnancy nose. It was like, I literally was like, what the heck? And I feel like something genuinely changed when I turned 25 because that's right around when it started to be more of a problem. And I've never been like a big drinker. Like when I was in college, I could probably count the number of frat parties I went to, or parties in general that I went to, on my fingers. Like, I was not someone who went out like a ton. It wasn't like my scene really. And I'll get drunk if it's like a friend's birthday celebration. I think the last time I was drunk was literally a year and like a few months ago. Like, it's been a long time, but I'll do it like on the very rare occasion where it's like a big celebration. But otherwise, I just drink because I like the taste of it. But then I'm like, I would never, like, I wouldn't do that with other stuff. You know what I mean? It made me feel so bad afterwards. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm reaching a point where I'm like, is it really worth it? Because I agree. I feel like it takes me so many days to recover. And again, this is not from like a bender of a night. This is when I go and I have like 2 drinks with water mixed in between. And it takes me so long to recover that I'm like, is it even worth it? I've been debating, and I did make a video about this too. Let the girlies know. I don't want Spotify to flag us for this, but I have been debating doing, like, if you watch Sophia Panella on social media, she's been talking about this a lot. So like, her videos are good, give you a better idea for this. But I've been debating being California sober, which is where you don't drink alcohol, but you might consume CBD or THC products, which I've never consumed. For the sake of not getting this video taken down, I've never consumed the devil's lettuce in any form. However, the idea of CBD products, like the CBD drinks or things like that, that sounds good to me because I have had CBD before. But I don't know. That just sounds like I just want to zen out, and not feel like crap the next day.
And not feel terrible. I will say too, I think half of the reason why I feel so terrible after drinking is because at this point in my life, when I am drinking, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to spend $15 on a drink, I want it to taste good. Like, I don't want to go buy a tequila soda because I would rather just have the soda water. But I want an espresso martini. I want a margarita. But then if you have a couple of those, the amount of sugar that I just consumed is more than my like weekly allowance for sugar. And this is on my glow up tips too, is like really limiting your sugar intake. And like, genuinely, I've gotten to a point where sugar makes me feel so terrible. Like, if I had to eat a crumble cookie right now, I think I would literally vomit because of how much sugar. Like, I really just don't eat a lot of it. And so when I'm drinking, if you have 3 margaritas, that's so many grams of sugar that your body just isn't used to. And you're probably having kind of like a sugar hangover the next day and not necessarily an alcohol hangover. So I will say that that's like probably half of it as well. But yeah, limiting sugar has been one of the biggest game changers, I feel like, in terms of like glowing up, feeling good, feeling confident. It's just getting to a point where you do not crave sugar anymore because when you eat it, you feel like a garbage can.
I just combined all my words into one. I will say that last year, when I found my gluten allergy, that doctor, when she was doing all the testing, she found out that I had a candida overgrowth. And candida is like a bacteria in your stomach that feeds on alcohol, sugar, and like processed carbs. And it was insane because like last year, when I tell you, like, I would crave sugar, would like crave these like processed carbs. I didn't really crave alcohol that much, but it would be insane. And like, it's almost like it would just like take over your brain in a way where that craving would not go away until you ate something. And like, until you ate something that had like the sugar in it or whatever, because it's literally a bacteria that's alive in your stomach and is like, it makes you crave it. And part of getting rid of the candida overgrowth is doing this like super strict diet for a couple of weeks and taking this nasty supplement. It's liquid oregano. And it tastes as bad as it sounds. It's nasty. Twice a day for 15 days. Oh my God. It was crazy. But part of it like helps kill off excess candida. And after doing that, oh my God. Like, I also am the same way with sugar, where I used to have the worst sweet tooth, and I definitely still do have a sweet tooth, but I make things all without refined sugar. Like, I'm
the same way.
And I'm always doing like the sugar-free option, no refined sugar. So like, yes, I have like stevia, but not in like crazy, amounts or anything. But now when I have things that are like, if I go to a coffee shop and I'll just get like, if they do any sort of syrup, I do sugar free, or I do 1 pump of that syrup in like a venti size, like a big coffee, because it just tastes too sweet to me. So if you are listening to this and you are maybe like concerned about your sugar intake. I know before I just knew sugar was like bad for my teeth, and I have very sensitive teeth, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's probably not good for me to be having as much sugar as I'm having. If you're having some of those thoughts too, I would definitely try to do like I don't want to say detox, I hate the word detox, but like try to do a, no sugar for a week or a certain amount of time. Or if you genuinely feel like your cravings are like, not controllable, I would definitely go see if you have a candida overgrowth, because a lot of people, just because of what the American diet is, I guess it's like somewhat common for people to have a candida overgrowth, but I feel a million times better now that I've like figured that out.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because sugar is in back to like the you feel better when you're eating mainly whole foods and less processed foods. Sugar is in a lot of processed foods in the grocery store that you might not even think like it might not even necessarily be something sweet. Like for example, bread in America, there's a lot of sugar in bread because it helps preserve it on the shelves. So if you're eating a slice of bread and you look on the back, like there's definitely grams of sugar and there's refined sugar in that bread to help it stay on the shelf longer. So I think that goes back to like when you're eating mainly whole foods, you're naturally consuming less sugar. And then you get to a point where your body doesn't need as much sugar because you're not eating a lot of it. And yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I definitely still have a sweet tooth in terms of like my brain still tells me after dinner, like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
well, you just ate dinner. Like, now it's time for dessert. And like,
Yes,
I'm totally
always.
fine with that. I don't care. But
Yeah.
for example, last night I made, have you seen the chickpea brownies on TikTok that like Alex Earl was talking about?
No, I've seen the sweet potato brownies, but not chickpea.
Yeah, I've been making them for
Oh,
like literally an entire month. I make them all the time. They are so good and there's no refined
oh,
sugar in them. It has a whole can of chickpeas in like the pan of
oh.
brownies. It's so good. So yeah,
Wait,
I'll
that
make
sounds so
stuff like
good.
that where like it's still a sweet treat. I still put some like chocolate chips in them, but I do no sugar added chocolate chips and they taste like brownies. They make me feel like I'm eating brownies, but I don't feel terrible after them because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not eating all of that sugar.
I've been on my Ninja Creamy game again. I like fell off for a little bit and I was like doing different, like stuff like that, little like, cookie recipes or things like that. But I got back on my Ninja Creamy game and I just like forgot how dang good it is. It's so good. And I will say, because I know some people have been commenting on my videos recently asking me what I eat or what I like order because my food allergies with gluten and dairy. And I will say, so I know there are some dairy free girlies who listen to this. If you have a Ninja Creamy and it doesn't turn out like creamy enough because you have to use dairy free milk, like oat milk, almond milk, things like that, they're just a bit icier because they don't have the same fat content that regular milk does. Add half an avocado. It might sound nasty. It might sound gross, and you will see little green chunks that are like in it when it will blend in, but at first it's going to be like, what the hell is this? Um, that I found is the key. After we had the episode with the dietitian and she talks about adding avocado into your smoothies, I was like, all right, I'm going to trust her. Something about her. I was like, I'm going to trust her. And I put an avocado into my Ninja Creamy to see if it would help. And I've never gone back. Like that is because the fat content makes it so creamy that it literally tastes just like regular ice cream. And I mean, as close to regular ice cream as you're going to get. Like I put protein powder in mine as like the flavoring. So obviously it's going to taste a little bit like protein powder, but I also use Truvani protein powder and that's the best vegan protein I've ever found. A lot, it doesn't have that like super chalky taste, but it's because I'm also the same way where I'm like, dinner's done, time for something sweet. Like always, I don't know. It's just, you got to end the night off on the right foot, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to end it on the right foot for sure. As the sweet treat girls for sure. Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of this week's episode. These were fun to just kind of go through some things we have been doing to look and feel our best, our glow up tips. I feel like social media has been like glow up has been such a buzzword. So we wanted to film this episode just to talk about some things that we've been doing to look and feel our best. But if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us feedback in Spotify. Leave us any questions, any episode ideas in Spotify, or as always, you can DM us on Instagram at Girls Talk Money Pod as well. But thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the podcast. And until next week.